Talk a little bit about how you got introduced to the concept of APGs and what inspired you to get it started here in Wake County.
Sure. So a couple of years ago, I viewed Generation Found, which is the depiction of a recovery high school out of Texas. And when I viewed it, I thought, wow, a recovery high school. You know, I wish that was something that was around when I was 14, when I was using substances, when I felt that I didn't have an outlet or nobody cared or I didn't have anyone to talk to. And so after viewing that, a couple of years went by and one of the board members of Wake Monarch sent an email to my boss. And I saw the email. He was out of the country, so I was checking the emails, and she was talking about the recovery high school that was going to be opening in Wake County. And I said, wow. And so I responded to the email a couple of months later and connected with her. And I invited her and Leah to, at the time I started a social work networking group. So I invited them and we viewed Generation Found, and as I was watching it again, I said, you know, well, I can't open a recovery high school, but we can start APG. And so the rest is history. We actually started our first on May 2nd. We reached out to a church, Mount Sinai in Southeast Raleigh. We met with the pastor and we talked to him about starting an APG, and immediately he was on board. And so we started our first APG there on Thursdays from 5 to 7:30. At the time, he mentioned to us that he would no longer be at the church. He would be leaving the church in October, so we knew we had to find another place. So we transitioned to Martin Street Baptist Church. August 1st, we started there. And then Journey, we met with Lisa Bayer at Journey Church. And so we've been there since August 27th. So we have two APGs, one on Thursdays at Martin Street Baptist Church from 5 to 7:30, and one every Tuesday at Journey Church from 5 to 7:30.
Ms. Smalls, how did you get involved?
Okay, great. It's working. Yes, I had gotten involved pretty early on within the group. I had learned about some services through Cottage Healthcare. They're another group that is actually within Wake Forest here in Raleigh, and I just decided to get involved. Yeah.
And what have you seen in terms of how it has benefited people, or what type of impact it's made in people's lives?
Well, as Stella actually said, a lot of people have been coming out of their shells. Two of the young ladies that you had seen up there, the sisters, they're like twins. They're inseparable. They've come out of their shells a lot, and I found that so have I, actually. And it's great to get within the community and really see the community outreach that is reaching back towards you as you reach out.
Stella, can you talk a little bit about what happens during a typical APG on a Thursday night?
Well, basically what happens is when we come in, we'll have snacks, we'll play games, we'll come down from the day, there'll be a little chatter, conversation, and we usually start to group, and we'll start a group about 6:30. We'll say the Serenity Prayer, and there's a 12 steps that goes with the group. It's not geared towards the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous, or it's just tweaked a little bit for the APG. And we have a topic usually, or if it's just, we'll have a topic of one of the participants' choice. And we'll discuss that topic, and we allow them to share how they're doing, and what they're feeling. And we identify with them just so that they can see identification. Not to give any suggestions, but just allow them to talk. Allow them the opportunity to say, because one of the young ladies said early on that sometimes she just wants somebody to listen, instead of telling her what she needs to do or what she should do or what she could do. And like she said, they came out of their shell. It was like maybe the third or fourth one where they just started talking, they felt comfortable. our adolescents need a place to go where they can feel comfortable and say what they need to say and not be afraid. And at the end, we'll say the serenity prayer. Sometimes we eat in between and we go home. We take them home or their parents come and pick them up.
Melissa, how did you get involved as a volunteer?
So I got involved as a volunteer through Miss Wendy, actually, and the two ladies, the two sisters that are inseparable. Outside of my work, they are my clients as well, but outside of that, they were getting involved in this, and I just kind of gave them a ride, and, not trying to drop them off and leave and then come back, those gas prices. So I decided to stay and observe, and see what was what, and that's how I began,
And how has it grown over the last 4 months or 5 months? Anyone?
Yeah, so we started out, like I said, May 2nd, and we had maybe 1 or 2 youth that was attending. And then we had 3 or 4 that were coming, and when we moved from that one location, we had a few more that were coming. So we have about maybe 7 youth that are consistently coming. Obviously, we want to increase the amount of youth that we have participating, so we are promoting it. But yeah, so word of mouth, and we're partnering with other organizations to increase the total of participants.
I'm curious about any feedback that you have received from parents.
So we actually have a 15-year-old that's coming, and her parents, her mother and father, have been attending consistently with her. And this is a youth who was doing self-harm. And so the feedback that I get from the parents is that she had social anxiety, so that has lessened. She's not self-harming. She was cutting herself, and so her social skills have increased, because this is someone who wasn't, reaching out socially, and that's what the group does. It helps them come together and socialize, increase their socialization skills. But that is the feedback that we've gotten so far from the parents that actually have attended. Because not only do the youth come, it's also family involvement. So we have a youth group as well as a family group. But sometimes, because the number of participants are low, we combine the groups. So the parents are also sitting in on the groups, and they also get something out of it.
Interesting. Phil?
I lost my mics. Can I borrow one?
Yeah.
Any questions?
How are you canvassing the participants? Are you going into the schools as well, or churches? How's that?
I will say, no, currently we're not going into the schools. The schools are very, very sensitive about mental health and substance use, and bringing that into the school, so we haven't done that. We are trying to, speak with maybe social workers, counselors that do work in the school, and see if we can get the information out that way. But I will say Journey Church, and I want to give a big shout out to Journey Church. They have been so supportive. I recently participated in a Connect party that they had, and what that was, they asked everybody that they partner with in the community to come and share their information. And so that's one of the ways that we get the word out as well. They're giving the information to their congregation, but we also partner with other organizations that provide mental health and substance abuse services to youth. So Haven House, we're trying to get the information out to anyone that provides services to that population.
Can Parent-Teachers Association play a part of it? Is that still part of the school?
We haven't reached out to parent-teacher associations, but that was a discussion that we have recently had. So we want to reach out to anyone that's associated with youth. So anyone that we can. So we hope, I have flyers over here on the desk. We ask that you please take one and tell everyone what we're doing, because there is a huge community recovery, a recovery community for adults, but not the same for youth. And so we're trying to create that community recovery, or that recovery community for youth.
I'll be checking with some churches to make appointments with pastors to meet with the youth department and within churches to identify youth or family members that would like to participate or have their child to participate in APG.
Do teenagers have to have a substance use problem?
No, they don't actually. I was recently diagnosed with schizophrenia about a good few months ago, and it felt like, like someone had cut my life sentence a little bit short, maybe, because I had heard someone had told me, an adult had told me, that when you have schizophrenia, it most likely leads to dementia or Alzheimer's. So there's a pretty good chance that you're going to be another number. That's what I was told. But then I met another adult that told me to try not to be another number. You don't have to be another number. APG is really good at getting into the community, staying active, and as you saw, allowing those to reach back. So yes, you do not have to have substance use. I don't have any substance abuse or use activity or anything like that in my life. But I do have schizophrenia, and it does help to come to a community that can reach back. It does help a lot. It has helped a lot.
So this state has so many definitions for adolescents, youth, minor, teen. Who do you service?
So, yeah, youth between the ages of 13 and 24, and their families. And so I do want to say that, because I mentioned, no, we don't only, we want to create a safe place for youth between the ages of 13 to 24 that may identify with a mental health and substance use disorder or behavioral issue or any issue that makes their life unmanageable. So we want to create that safe place for them to come and share just where they are and receive the peer support.
And with the suicide rate of youth going up, they need somebody to talk to. They need somewhere they can go, whether it's LGBTQ, they coming out, or just conflict within themselves at that age. They need to know that somebody's there to listen to them, to try to prevent some of the suicide. It's very heartening when you open up a page and you see another child committed suicide at 10 years old because he was bullied. That could have been prevented.
I have a question. Are the parents always on board at these sessions with the youth, or did you have time where they are separate? And have you seen greater results with parents being in on it? Do you think that's always good, like in the beginning, or do you have a time frame where the youth work through their own issue and then the family session are combined?
Sure. So the idea of the APG is that the youth have their group and the family or the adults have their group. There has been times where the number of participants have been very small, so we've combined the groups. But the idea is for it to be separate.
What can the community do to assist you to continue to be of service to the youth?
Great question. So we're always looking for volunteers, for individuals to come and help with participating in the games, help set up. Donations are wonderful because we provide food for the groups. We also are asking for licensed clinicians to come and volunteer to facilitate groups. So yes, we need support in every way that we can give it.
And to get the word out so we can get some more youth that are out there.
How can people find more information about it?
So we actually are updating our website, so our wonderful TMT, who's videoing right now, so she's collecting data for our website. Right now, the website it doesn't have a lot of information about the APG, but we do have one, epcitizens.org, and so we will have that. We are getting on social media. I just haven't been that savvy, and so we have someone that's helping us with that. We have flyers, and so we're just kind of partnering with other organizations, passing out flyers to get the word out.
And what are some of the games that are popular?
Uno. That's the most popular. What else?
I've never played so much Uno in my life, so that was And that thing you wear on your head, and everybody has to guess what's wearing on your head, yeah. That's kind of crazy.
I was gonna say Uno's the most popular, but headbands for me by far has been the most fun.
How do you play headbands?
And so you have this little thing you wrap around your head, and your neighbor puts the card on your head facing you all. It's kind of like a charade, like
You gotta guess what the
you have to
card
guess
is.
what the card is by your team members throwing hints
Yeah, gotcha.
or asking questions.
Blank.
Yeah, I do. I just want to guide this. So, just one question.
So Wendy, if you could elaborate, since there's a lot of clinicians in the room, if we had other areas, because the whole purpose of the APGs is to establish them in multiple areas, because what works in downtown Raleigh is not going to work in Holly Springs or Wake Forest or whatever. So if there are other clinicians in the room that like, wow, this is really cool, I already work with adolescents, but I want to start an APG, kind of guide them how this would be under your umbrella and the curriculum that you follow.
Right, so we are, because this is the first APG in this area, so what we have done, like we didn't make this up, we are following a model that is very successful in Texas at Lifeway, and so they have given us their curriculum. The difference is they have an inpatient facility, so their youth that come through their inpatient substance abuse facility, their APG is like a step down. And so we don't have a inpatient, we're just starting the APG. So we're following their model, which they use the 12-step recovery model as well as an enthusiastic recovery model, and that is, we want to make recovery fun. We want to be able to have fun sober. And so we're following those models, but of course, like I said, there are some differences because we don't provide the same type of service. So what we ask so that you don't have APGs just not following a model is that we work together in making sure that you go to one APG, it's the same format, it's the same information, it's the same model.